interpretation must be very in-depth so that it can be evaluated.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But it's just that, you know, instead of getting responses that are yes and no from a question that you verbally asked, you've gotten yes or no from a picture along with the question. In terms of the content of visual analysis, is no different than when you do a content analysis of text. So you have to come up with coding, you know, and so you know, so how would you look at all the images? Time of day, number of people. These are the types of codes that you may come up with, or categories of coding that you would come up with for the visual material. But then again, that's no different than how you would do a content analysis of an actual book. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Allison?
Well, I would just almost exact same question, and it seemed like a highly subjective type of methodology, and how do you validate those interpretations? Like if you saw a bunch of pictures and, oh, your family does family reunions, you look like a really tight-knit group, and
Yeah, well, some
we
of
fight
it,
all the time.
you know, some of it is subjective. So for example, if you do visual analysis that's only content analysis, you're not asking, you know, you're not inferring or putting your opinion or anything like that. You're just going off of what's strictly in the photo. So is mom and dad in the photo? No. You know, and so, you know, so I'm looking at I'm looking at your photo album. I see you and your brother. I see you and your two sisters. I see you and your, you know, and so content analysis strictly just goes off of what's there. No different than textual content analysis. You can't really infer what the word is saying. The more subjective or inference comes when you get into psychoanalytic and discourse analysis. Because psychoanalytic, now you're sort of now coming up with your sort of take on the imagery that's being captured. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. So it allows for a number of different people from a different perspectives to still engage in this. So this is not necessarily just for qualitative inquiry or just for people who are critical thinkers or whatever, critical theorists. No, anybody can get engaged in it.
You can have multiple people actually analyzing, coding the data.
They can be, right. Yeah, especially if you have a number of visual materials. If you're dealing with hundreds and hundreds of photos, right, you're going to have one person that deals just strictly with content, right? Only what is being pictured there. You know, then you can have another person dealing with science, you know, so what is the use of words that's connected there? Not interpretation, just what's words that are written on there. Another person can deal with discourse, yeah. So with that, thank you all.
I know Brian had talked about he'd like to have more methodology presentations just to expose you to more opportunities, A, for perhaps your own research, or B, at least you'd be familiar with this when you see articles or other people's research on these topics. Thank you for coming. This is a good crowd. I hope we have a good crowd when this meets again. Rasoul, I don't know, you going to hang around if there's some more questions? Or,
Sure.
if there's any more questions, Rasoul will hang around for a couple minutes.